Yeah, Governor Reeves still sticking to his guns that he does not believe a statewide mask mandate will solve the state's problems. He says he does hear his critics, but he doesn't think they're right.
And that's one of the problems that we have today. We have people in our state that don't want to wear a mask, and they consistently point back to those at the WHO and other organizations who said in March and April that you shouldn't wear a mask.
I sat down with Governor Tate Reeves Tuesday as he decided to add more counties to his list of mask mandates. The governor says he believes adding select counties that are spiking is still the best approach as opposed to a blanket mandate.
So I'm willing to take the political heat. I'm willing to take the questions from you and many of your colleagues, because I believe in my heart and in my mind that this is the best strategy to protect my fellow Mississippians.
The statewide case numbers are rising at a time when college and high school outdoor events are seeing more people not wearing masks. The governor stopped short of saying he may impose harsher restrictions there if the social distancing rules and mask rules are not enforced.
If we believe that we find ourselves in a position in which that we're not getting the cooperation that we need, then we can in the future make additional decisions to either increase restrictions or shut them down entirely. It's certainly not what my inclination is to do.
While Reeves acknowledges the growing pressure on hospitals, he is critical of UMMC's complaints about ICU bed space during the pandemic.
That particular institution has over 10,000 employees. Do you know how many patients they had in ICU beds with COVID last week? 14 patients with COVID. Now that's probably risen a little bit over the last 7 days, but when I looked at the hospital report, and I get a report every week of how many patients are in every single hospital bed, and I don't think that there are very many people in our state that believe that 14 patients with COVID in a hospital of that size or magnitude should have the kind of impact, significant impact that it's having.
Reeves now approaching the end of his first year in office, arguably the most chaotic, with 11 disasters and a pandemic to boot. But so far, he says, state revenues are actually up.
When I talk about us being $400 million over revenue estimates in the first 5 months of this fiscal year, that is illustrative of how well our economy is doing in our state.
Governor Reeves says he does want kids back in school and in the classroom. He contends that he believes kids are less likely to catch the virus in school as opposed to outside of it. He continues with that mask mandate debate, pointing to states around us that he says have had the mask mandate in place since the summer, yet still have higher per capita average cases than the state of Mississippi. Live in Jackson, Scott Simmons, 16 WAPT News.